lovers, the moon is a thing of beauty. But to this man it is a deadly curse. When the moon is full, this miserable wretch turns into a hairy, snarling half-man, half-beast. Prowls the night, his fangs thirsty for human blood. He is a werewolf.
Hello and welcome to the Werewolf by Night podcast, the show where we talk about Marvel's number one lycanthrope, Jack Russell, a.k.a. the Werewolf, a.k.a. the Beast, a.k.a. the Shaggy One. I'm your co-host, Matt Howell.
I'm your other host, Jacob Balcom.
And we're welcoming back Mr. Tim Tucker. Hi, Tim.
Hi. Hi, guys. Good to be here.
Yes, thank you for joining us today. So we've had you on before. You were first on with Jacob in kind of a little interview where you talked about the books that you've written, and we had you on as a guest to talk about a Glitter Night episode.
Yeah, that's right.
Issue.
Yeah.
And you decided you'd even come back after that. And so thanks for doing that.
Always up.
But tell the people about the series of books that you are working on.
Yeah, I mean, it's particularly germane to this issue, actually. My books are werewolf novels set in the 18th century. My first book, Above the Circle of the Moon, which was published last year, is set in Haiti and Jamaica and Bristol in England during the slave era. And then my second book, which I published this year, is Beneath the Silent Moon, the second book in the series, continuing the story of the characters introduced in Above the Circle of the Moon. And I'm currently writing my third in the series, as yet untitled, but to be published early next year. So that's coming soon. And the books are available on Amazon at the moment. They're Amazon exclusives, but I'll be going wide with them next year, which means they'll be available on Apple Books and Google Play and the rest. But for now, it's Amazon. You can order them as paperbacks or Kindle ebooks.
Oh, there are physical copies.
Yeah, they're print on demand, which is nice and efficient. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to buy it then. I bought it on the Kindle, and I started reading it on vacation this last week, and I cannot tell you how much I'm enjoying it. It is amazing. I was on a whitewater rafting trip, and I was looking forward to getting to camp every night so I could read a few chapters before dinner.
Oh, that's really gratifying. Thank you. I'm pleased.
Yes, absolutely loving it. And I would love to talk to you sometime about the research and stuff that you put into all the historical aspects. It's fascinating, but incredibly entertaining and hard to put down. So, folks, if you like horror fiction or historical fiction, please check out Tim's books. They're super well written and really compelling stuff. I'm just loving it right now. So it's been a joy.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah. And there's a novella as well, right, that you can get.
That's right. If you go to my website, tmtucker.com, you can get a free prequel. Just sign up to my mailing list, and it's only on Kindle at the moment. But yeah, you'll be able to download that. So that's free.
Cool. Well, I'm definitely all in, so I'll be having all of them.
Thank you.
Yeah, we obviously had to have you back on for this issue because this features Brother Voodoo and some the Z words.
Yes.
Zuvembi's zombies.
Absolutely.
Which, if our listeners recall, when this first got mentioned back when Raymond Coker was in Haiti seeking answers to a question we don't know yet, the term Zuvembi was used, and Jacob and I discussed how that was still not code okay. And that I believe Robert Howard or somebody had made it up in the pulps as just kind of a nonsense voodoo sounding word for traditional voodoo zombies. And Marvel thought it was safe to use, and it was. And even though it sounds goofy but exotic and foreign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They stopped Jack Russell saying zombie at one point, don't they?
Yeah. No, because it was Howard that came up with it. It was technically in a literary tradition, which is what the code defined as okay for supernatural beings.
Okay.
All right. It's so strange to me that the moribund concept of a reanimated corpse walking around is verboten, but having a guy sprout fur and fangs and literally just eviscerate people issue after issue is completely fine as long as you're not explicitly showing it.
Yeah,
that's right.
So
which they got close to in the last issue, didn't they?
Yeah.
You were talking about the clawing people's faces off last issue.
Yeah.
Got brutal.
Yeah, it got pretty brutal. So, yes, Tim is joining us from the UK. So it's evening there to him, actually the time when we normally record. So we're recording around lunchtime. So I'm finishing my cup of coffee right now.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to switch over to beer and whiskey because I'm still on vacation, technically.
Just the way, yeah.
Okay. As I've mentioned many times, this was my first issue, so I have a lot of connection with it. But I'll still start with the cover, right? Even though I know it mentally perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so this is still only 25 cents. And this is issue number 39, which has a pull date of July 1976. If you recall, they're on a bi-monthly schedule now, so it's been a couple months. So this cover is one of my favorites. It's penciled by Rich Buckler. And he was a guy that worked a lot on the Archie Red Circle comics that I've talked before that they tried in the early 80s. And that was around for about 3 years. He drew a lot of the Mighty Crusaders and some of those other titles. And I know him pretty well. And then this was inked by Keith Pollard, which is another name I'm very familiar with from Spider-Man. But he worked a lot. Jacob, do you want to talk a little bit about Keith Pollard?
Yeah, I have a little bit about Keith Pollard. He's only been working at Marvel just less than 2 years. His first Marvel credit was in October of '74. He illustrated a story for the Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, written by Doug Mensch. And so, that was his first thing. He's worked with Doug a few times before, so they're used to that. It's funny, I know Keith Pollard best from the illustrations that he did for the official handbook of the Marvel Universe that came out in the early 80s. And I loved those books as a kid, all the stats. I ate it up. So yeah, that's where I'm most familiar with him. I'm
sorry, are you talking about Ohatmu?
Yeah, Ohatmu.
That's what people call the official handbook of the Marvel Universe.
Boy. No, I'm a nerd, but I'm not going that far.
It's a good word. Do they normally put the cover artists' names on the cover? I don't think I've noticed that before, but their names are written just down the bottom, aren't they?
Yeah, not always.
Not always.
No.
Yeah, maybe half the time, maybe less than half the time, actually.
Yeah, a little less, I'd say.
Yeah, I wasn't as familiar with Rich Buckler. Like, I know his name. I know he's pretty, he's a famous comic artist. He's really prolific in the 70s and 80s at both of the big two, at Marvel and DC. I think he's most famous for creating the character Deathlock, which I'm not as familiar with.
Yeah, he had a run on Fantastic Four in the mid 70s that was kind of well known, and then he created Deathlock. Yeah, it was kind of two big things.
Yeah, I've read some of that Fantastic Four run, which is pretty good. And he was at Skywald for a little bit, even though he said in some interview that he was there just for a couple stories and until he tried to date the daughter of publisher Israel Waldman. And that didn't go well. So he cut his time short there.
Right.
So Jacob,
there's a lesson in that.
Yeah, no kidding. It's one that you should need to be taught.
No.
But I see here that I missed this before, that he kind of is credited as co-creating the Death of Jean DeWolf story, which I did not know that he was the artist on some of that. So
no, I didn't read that either. Yeah, it's a great cover, though. You're right. I mean, Buckler and Pollard really knock it out of the park. The Beast looks amazing. Brother Voodoo. But I mean, I know this is early in our coverage of the cover, but none of these things happen. Not one.
Yeah.
It shows the Beast is fighting with Brother Voodoo. That doesn't happen. There is a red-haired typical damsel in distress, which does not happen at all. So I feel like we should drink.
Yeah, we do drink.
Yeah.
Tim?
Also, absolutely. Hold on. It also confused me that is the werewolf coming through the window there? That's what it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen, does it?
No.
And
it looks to me like they're both coming through. I think it's like they're both. It's like a cowboy movie. Like they just fight and come through the window together. Is what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And then the other thing that confused me seeing it, because I love the cover, visually so striking and compelling, but it confused me seeing this. Is it the soul of Brother Voodoo?
Yes.
Kind of watching over them while he's fighting Brother Voodoo. That until I started reading the story, that was very confusing, I found. But
it's the soul of Brother Voodoo's brother. Daniel Drum.
Yeah.
So yeah, this character had been around, as we mentioned a few episodes ago, in what was it, Jacob? Strange Tales or Tales to Thrizzle or something. I don't remember what it was, but he had an ongoing kind of backup story for a while, and then he went into I think he was in the back of Tales of the Zombie or something. But this character had kicked around and been he had some backstory.
I hadn't realised that, and so there was a few things. We'll get to it in a minute. But when Jack Russell recognises him, I was confused because he's not been in The Werewolf by Night before, has he? Not to Jack Russell. So that confused me.
Well, we were all confused.
The other odd little thing is that I looked up it. So I Googled him once I realised this character's great, I think. Brother Voodoo. So I Googled him, and the first issue he's in was Strange Tales 169, which isn't available on Marvel Unlimited. They pulled it. Have you noticed that? So he goes from Strange Tales 168 to Strange Tales 170. Do you know why they've pulled 169? Any ideas?
Well, I mean, kind of figuring other issues that Marvel has pulled, and from that time period, it's probably due to insensitive material.
Right. Okay. So I've ordered the Brother Voodoo Masterworks, I think it's called, from eBay, so I can read that issue.
Oh,
because I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Good. You will not be disappointed. He's a great character.
Great.
Wow, that really chaps my ass. So when there's racially insensitive handling of characters in their back catalog, they just pull it?
Yeah, they pull it. I kind of wish they just do content warnings, which I'm totally fine with. I think it creates a dialogue. It lets you know what's going to happen, so you're not shocked. Or if a little kid is reading it, you can have a dialogue about what's wrong with the depiction. And of course, I'm sure there was something that's not great in it, but we should be able to discuss it.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. I have zero interest in watching Gone with the Wind, but I think anyone should be able to. I just don't give a shit about it as a movie, as a story. But I don't think it should be yanked from anywhere. I don't think we should pretend like things didn't happen. I don't think that we should deprive people from art. I think, like you're saying, there should be a dialogue or a prompt, something at the beginning that says, here's some things that come up in this issue that might be problematic. You may choose to avoid it. If you're using this as a text in an art class or whatever class, here are some prompts that could be, student-led discussion about
that's
whatever. I mean, you're missing an opportunity for growth and to tackle the problem. And I don't think it's helping anything. And it's definitely not good to remove art from the table.
Yeah, it's funny. Marvel does that, but now that they're basically owned by Disney, and I think I've mentioned this before on the show, but on Disney Plus now they have all 5 seasons of The Muppet Show. And if there's an episode that has something that's racially insensitive, they have a pretty big content warning at the beginning. And just be like, hey, this is what's going on. We're having this on here so you can have a dialogue. If kids are going to watch, you can pause it and talk to them about it. And so I like that. I thought that was a classy way to go.
I think it's also just in the interest of remembering history, like the whole kind of doomed to repeat it thing. Because in the States we'll have we passed some major civil rights voting acts in the late 60s. Then in the mid-aughts, you have Republicans turning around, conservatives saying, we don't need these voting rights acts anymore. We're over racism. Racism's done. Yeah. And then they struck it down, and then they immediately start gerrymandering and putting these voting, control things in place to push back people that they don't want voting, which are black and brown people. Yeah. So I think just when you remove the threat and say this was never here anymore, that's where you start to get that kind of ignorant thinking of, no, there's George Washington and the cherry tree, and then 4th of July.
Yeah.
That's it. Anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, that was a digression, but it was interesting.
No, and I actually jumped into talking about artists before I actually did my initial description, but you guys kind of picked it up. But so we have these guys jumping through a window. The werewolf is clutching Jericho Drum by the throat, and Daniel Drum's spirit is leaping out of Jericho and looming over the beast in a menacing manner. And there's that redhead that we mentioned that's not wearing a bra on the ground, just looking shocked. She was just minding her own business.
Yeah.
Watching Dallas or whatever it was on in 1976. And the copy here is interesting as well because it has the title, Werewolf by Night, at the top, and then below that they've added versus Brother Voodoo, which again we already drank for that lie. And at the very bottom, some are born to the night, some are born to die. Very exciting title. It's still only 25 cents.
Still, just for like 4 more months, I think.
Yeah.
And then that experiment that we talked about last episode obviously was a success. And people still bought the books at 30 cents. And DC had raised their prices, so Marvel's going to follow suit in 4 months, I think.
Cool. Was it the cover that drew you to it, Matt? Because you bought this one. This is your first Werewolf by Night issue. Was it the first one you saw, or was it because of this cover, do you think, that you bought it?
I believe in the long boxes at my comic shop in my very small redneck town, it was like this issue and issue number 1, which was like $15 or $20. So I bought this one for like $1.50 or $2. Just crossing my fingers, hoping it was good. All that big investment.
Yeah.
And how old were you?
11 or 12.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, wow.
Perfect audience.
Yeah.
So this is probably a 10-year-old comic by the time I picked it up.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what was going on, who any of these people were, and I loved it.
I bet you did. Yeah, it's a great issue.
So then Jim Shooter would have found this issue a success then, because a brand new reader came in and didn't mind a ton of characters, knew enough. So yeah. Well, yeah, let's go on to the opening page. It's a really, really cool full page illustration. Well, here, let's read the credits. I thought it was interesting in the credit box this time. It has a little sentence right before the credits. It says, "A new trend in concept and chilling excitement, courtesy of." All right, that was all right. They're still trying to say at least that they're going in a new direction. This is not your old Werewolf by Night. This is a new deal. And so the creators for this month are pretty much exactly the same creators as the old Werewolf by Night, which is Doug Mensch writer, Don Perlin artist, Deborah James letterer. We have Don Warfield as colorist, and Marv Wolfman. We've had Warfield twice before, I think on one of the giant-sized, and back in issue 30, I think was the last time we had Don Warfield colors. And if I remember correctly, I think we liked one of those better than the other one. I feel like Don Warfield was one that we were like, I don't know.
Yes, that is my recollection as well. Can I just mention that I did like that little note there, a new trend in concept and chilling excitement, but it's very throwback. Like it feels very Stanley 1965 to me. Yeah,
well, maybe you're right. Maybe they're looking back and being like, shit, because as we've said before, this is becoming a bit of a dark time for Marvel. Like their titles are not selling as much as they had in the past. They're printing like 50 different comics a month. They've kind of gone off the rails. And so I think this is Marv Wolfman realizing like, oh shit, we gotta do something. So let's look back. People loved the Stan and Jack era, so let's try to get back to that a little bit.
Wasn't it around now, though, that the new X-Men got invented? Isn't that right, about this time?
Yeah, I think it was this year or 75, yeah. And
that was a huge success, right? That really took them in the right direction, presumably.
Yeah, it would become their most popular book for all through the late 70s and early 80s by far. And with Giant Size X-Men 1 by Len Wein and Dave Cockrum, if I'm correct. And it's a cool, but you're right. That's such a cool success story for the late 70s because it literally went from Marvel's worst selling title through the 60s, getting canceled because it's so terrible, going to reprints, and then, being revived and becoming the most successul title.
They should have just killed Cyclops like in issue 3.
Yeah.
Who likes Cyclops? Die-hard Cyclops fans are always kind of weird me out. Like your friend Andy was like, I'm a Stones guy. And Jacob and I are like, what the fuck? Keep an eye on people who say, I prefer the Stones to the Beatles. They're not bad people, but
so just
you can turn your back on a friend. You can never turn your back on a drug. That kind of thing. Hunter Thompson.
Yeah.
So this page is, I don't know. I think it's pretty great. So I'll read the opening narration first. It said, I'd arrived at my stepfather's place with a new but still undefined purpose in life, only to find the phone ringing. Buck said he'd been letting it ring all day and that I should get over to his Malibu place so fast that I needn't bother hanging up. He says, when I got there, I found out why. I also found, and then that sentence ends and picks up with Jack bursting in through the door and seeing, he says, Brother Voodoo and Coker, Raymond Coker. So, we see Buck, Topaz, Lissa, Raymond Coker, and Brother Voodoo. We're kind of looking at them from behind. It's kind of a cool angle. And Buck is smoking, which makes me really happy. Every time Buck smokes, I just love it. I don't know why. But
Doc said keep it down to like a pack a day if you can while you're recuperating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, who knows if he's actually taking that advice? But we've seen his ashtray, I think, a few times before, and it's overflowing. And Jack mentions this in his narration at the bottom. It says also present were Buck Cowan, my best friend, now confined to a wheelchair thanks to me. Like how he says the empathist Topaz. How many different ways are they going to describe her and her powers?
I love it.
They're just trying every different iteration of a way to describe it. Yeah, it's really funny. Then at the bottom it says, and my sister Lissa. And the title, as it said on the cover, is called Some Are Born to the Night. And we have a little, almost like unfinished looking line drawing of the werewolf looking down on them as Jack comes into the room. And I like the colors immediately. Actually, I mean, I like what Don Warfield does in this issue for the most part.
Me too.
Yeah, I love it. What? So just on that point then, how does he know Brother Voodoo? That's not.
Do you know, Jacob? Because I would not think Brother Voodoo he's not Spider-Man.
He was in a Spider-Man comic before this, was he?
Yeah, but I mean, like, he's not like someone that's photographed and a virtual celebrity because of their. He's usually kind of a behind the scenes, like a Doctor Strange kind of guy. He's a protector of us, of mortals in our realm and stuff like that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think there is a way that he would rationally and logically know who Brother Voodoo is, but I love the comic shortcut of it, of just like, oh, of course he knows Brother Voodoo. We don't need a page of origin of Brother Voodoo. Like, I'm sure they've done the origin multiple times. So I kind of like the ballsy act of just being like, no, of course everyone knows who Brother Voodoo is.
No, I actually do too. I think it's a great shortcut, and like you said, I can see, he might be like a figure that was kind of a little buzz thing. Like, there's this healer down in Haiti who's done these amazing things. Like he had Entertainment Tonight kind of short story or something like that about him. But he's definitely not Spider-Man level. But the folks who haven't seen him yet, you should probably describe. I mean, he's a very distinctive, especially in his original incarnation. He's
so cool. Yeah.
I mean, he has. You want to describe him, Jacob?
Yeah, so he wears I guess you could call kind of a jungle outfit. He has a vest that has like black diamonds on white. His hair is the most striking. He's really cool, like black hair with a white streak all the way down, which I've just never seen in another comic character.
White mohawk.
He has a white mohawk, and it's super awesome. He has a necklace that looks like it's made out of like teeth. Yeah, I mean, I think it goes right up to the line of caricature in a way of what you would expect someone named Brother Voodoo to look like. But I love I love his stature. I love how strong and confident and powerful of a character he is. I mean, Matt, you've talked about how you love this character, probably for all those reasons.
Yes, and I also love. It's been a while since I've read the early stuff, but if I recall, he is not like a noble savage or whatever you want. This is not like a kind of caricature like that. He is a Westerner who I believe his brother was down fulfilling that kind of role, the same way like Doctor Strange has a role of Sorcerer Supreme. His brother had that kind of role and was taken ill or injured or something like that, and he came down and learned the arts from his brother and assumed that role when his brother died and absorbed his spirit. So. He is actually, I think he was studying to be an actual doctor, like MD, and went down to kind of fulfill a family duty, if I recall. So he's kind of that thing where it's the West and the, it's modern and traditional and West and whatever else. Yeah, I think he's a fascinating character.
Me too. Sure. He becomes Dr. Voodoo later, doesn't he?
Yes.
From looking it up today. Yeah.
Yeah, he took over for Stephen Strange for a while and became the Sorcerer Supreme.
Cool.
Great character.
Can't wait to discover more about him. Yeah.
You're in for some treats there. There's some great stuff. So we've talked before about the impressionism or whatever of having the werewolf kind of appear non-physically on the over like a godlike kind of thing. And here he looks I love this. So he's appearing on the black ceiling, looking down over them, kind of growling. And so he's all black with just the contours being browns of his fur and his eyes and stuff. And he looks to me like if you went to the, for us, it would be OMSI or whatever, and to see Laser Floyd, like Laser Werewolf, like there'd be some mist going, and this would be like written on the mist and lights, is what it totally looks like to me.
So cool.
Love it.
It's also a bit of a flashback to the three who are all, isn't it? Who the way they turned up was on a black background in the last issue. So I don't know if that's deliberate, but it has a resonance of that three who are all apparitions that we saw in the last issue.
That's a good call out, I think.
Yeah, that is. I totally agree.
So, Jacob, I love this layout as well, where we're all behind the people that are in Buck's house and Jack's busting in. That's a great position and layout for that. Yeah. And where is Philip? Have we seen Philip in a year?
No, I mean we saw a spectral version of him in the Marcosa house, but no,
you can't trust anything in there, can you?
No, and I think we just saw Jack, imagining him at the end of the issue of Marcosa House as he's saying goodbye to everyone. But yeah, it's been a while. It's been about a year in the title since we've seen Philip.
See, it was intimated that he was being coerced by the committee into working with them. I'm wondering if there was something else going on, if Doug didn't have an idea that maybe things weren't as they seemed. And that's why he disappeared when the committee was broken up.
That's an interesting point. I wonder. We're just going to have to ask him when we interview him.
Nice. Add it to the list.
Yeah.
So on the next page, we've got this really great long horizontal panel here of looking over Jack's shoulder at the party we saw from behind before. And Jack shows up and he's explaining, first of all, he's saying, like, "What, Coker, why are you here? And Brother Voodoo?" And Raymond Coker says, "Hey, I'm as confused as you are, but you're not alone. My confusion started in Haiti." And we get a flashback where he's talking about how he saw his niece who survived a zombie attack in Haiti, and then he met Gisela, and then he saw his incarnation from the three who were all, which was Hissy Elliott, Snake Lady. What is her real name? Snake? They did name them, right, at one point?
I think they just called her Snake Woman, if I'm correct.
Woman.
Yeah.
Burning Snake Woman, she says here.
Burning Snake Woman. She's always burning, you're right.
Yeah.
And so Lissa's like, "Wait a minute, you had a vision too? Because Topaz and I saw Buck turn into that goat thing. And it said it was the three who were all." And then
I prefer your name, by the way, Black Phillip, wasn't it? You called it
Black Phillip, yeah.
Yeah.
And so Coker's realizing there's something going on here. And then they're all kind of like, "Wait a minute. If you saw that and I saw that," and they're saying that they're the three who are all, Jack's a little slow on the uptake here. Like, maybe there's three of them. And so he's just letting it hang there, waiting for Brother Voodoo to jump in and finish it, but he doesn't really say anything. And yeah, kind of a weird little page there, but I did really like the art on the top panel and the art of the weird Solomon Grundy Zuvembi attacking
That's fantastic.
family members.
Yeah.
Still creepy, even in the callbacks.
I love that too.
Still creepy for sure. And I think, the only thing that I think this page suffers is it's trying to fit in a lot of, explanatory backstory into 3 panels. Really, it's just those middle 3 panels, which are literally half text.
Yeah.
Could have maybe been broken up a little better.
I think he gets his math wrong a bit, doesn't he? Because he says, if Coker, Lissa, Topaz, and I, that's 4 people. He's trying to imply that there's a triumvirate, but it doesn't quite work, does it?
Yeah, for some reason, Lissa and Topaz are it's like eggs and bacon. They go together as one unit for some reason.
They're one. Yeah, okay. That's a bit of fudging, but yeah.
I noticed that last issue as well.
Brother Voodoo looks a bit confused. What are you trying to say, Jack?
Yeah. On the next page, so Buck kind of goes on to say, "Yes, Jack, I've already figured that much out. When Coker told me he'd had a vision like Lissa and Topaz, I was sure you'd had one too to complete the triumvirate." And so, he's getting his math a little wrong there again. But then he says, "Oh, and this is hinting at a possible change in you, a change of your identity, your condition." And he's trying to do that thing where because he doesn't realize that Brother Voodoo already knows that Jack is a werewolf. And so, and Jack is kind of getting pissed off. Jack is kind of pissed off this whole page. He has that kind of annoyance of youth a lot in this page. He yells at Buck like, "This is no time to be making puns on what night it is, Buck." And he's like, "Well, matter of fact, I'd better be running along now." And Brother Voodoo's like, "No, Jack Russell, there's no need for you to fear your lycanthropic affliction this night." Jack's like, "Huh? But how? I'm a werewolf." Voodoo's like, "Well, I too was visited by a vision." And he says that he actually saw all three of the three who are all. The entity was whole. And they said that they told him that they have to embark on this mission that is not only crucial to the lives of a great many people, but to the entire world. And then he says, and specifically you, Jack Russell, more than anyone else. And Jack just gets pissed off at this point, which I kind of don't understand. Again, maybe the reaction that a 20-year-old would have. And he's like, terrific, just what I needed. So what do we do next? And yeah, in that last panel, he's just super angry.
I think Doug Munch is definitely trying to. Doug Munch is definitely trying to raise the stakes a bit in this issue, isn't he? I mean, maybe it's to push the title on, but so now it's about not only crucial to the lives of many, but everyone, to the entire world.
When in doubt, up the stakes.
Yeah, exactly. It works.
And I don't know. I get what you were referring to, that Jack's kind of saying Buck Ixnay on the Airwolf way thing, but like, if I'm at Brother Voodoo, the first thing I would say is, I'm a werewolf. Can you help me, please?
Yeah.
You seem to know a lot of things about magic.
Yeah, I would assume that he's a guy that is not going to be shocked by the fact that you're a werewolf. He will probably know exactly what to do. So again, this is the folly of youth we are seeing on this page.
I love the art on the panel where Jack's shocked to know that Brother Voodoo knows of his condition. That's a beautiful drawing of Jack.
Yeah, it is. It's great.
I like the way Jack's depicted in this issue. He looks I think they've drawn him well this issue. He looks really good. Looks how I imagine him throughout the season.
I agree too. There's some inconsistency in the art a little bit on this issue that we haven't seen in the last few issues. Like on the previous page when Lissa's saying, wait a minute, we had a vision too. Buck just looks kind of weird. There's just some stuff like that where it's just here and there where things get a little loosey-goosey. But so far it's pretty solid. I'm enjoying the
I think overall it does feel a little bit rushed at times, doesn't it? There's some moments later which I'll pick up on where I'm sure they've rushed some parts of this issue, would you say? Because the last one was so tight, the last issue.
Agreed.
So on point. And so, they seem to craft it. There's something about this issue that makes me feel that a few corners were cut and they didn't maybe redraft it. I'm not sure. Did you get that feeling?
I did. It feels a little rushed to me to get to the ending, which... I think this is ultimately a 4-issue story arc, so that's a lot for them. So I can see why they were cramming stuff, but I wish they just relaxed and tried to not make it a capped arc and just had it just be an ongoing story.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you can feel, I agree, Tim, you can feel that it's pushed.
Yeah.
Jack on the previous page is like, what do we do now? And Brother Voodoo says, I've chartered a plane to Haiti. We're going to go, before the Zuvembis strike again. And Jack's like, wait, what about and he just says, let's face it, it was happening too fast for me to gather my thoughts. And like, okay, wait a minute here. Nobody's even told me what a Zuvembi is. So why don't you just do that for me before I go hopping on a plane anywhere? And so he says, Brother Voodoo says, Zuvembis are dead men who have lost their souls, Jack Russell, and who serve the very person preventing their eternal rest. He's like, oh, you mean they're And then before he can say the Z word, the door busts in through a giant undead hand behind Brother Voodoo, and there's full-on zombie mayhem happening. Brother Voodoo's in like a forearm lock, hammer lock being pulled down, and a wall of flame has just sprung up in front of the door, trapping everyone inside of Buck's house. And Jack says, I didn't know whether to run for a fire extinguisher or an exorcist. And Topaz says,
it all kicks off here, doesn't it?
Yeah. And Topaz says, there are more of them, Jack. I can feel it. And he says, well, Topaz's feelings have a habit of being right, which we all know that, Jack. But yeah, so this is the end of the zombie movie where the windows and the doors don't hold anymore and everything's just going chaos.
Did you think they followed him from Haiti, these Zuvembis, or did he conjure them out, or somebody conjure them out of? Well, we know who conjured them, don't we, later? But
yes,
how did they get there?
I think it was
really.
long distance magic.
Long distance magic. That makes sense. Yeah, that's the best explanation.
But you're right in bringing it up. It is one of those things that it's like, best not to ask too many questions. They're just there. They're just attacking the house because action needs to move the story forward. But I feel like, especially in those top 3 panels, Brother Voodoo's being very patient with Jack. I don't know if I would be as patient with him at this point. I'd just be like, catch up, fucker. Like, there's a lot going on. Just listen to me.
I'll tell you on the plane.
Yeah, I'll tell you on the plane. Move your ass.
Right.
Yeah, I do dig that panel at the bottom too, even though there's a lot of panels, and I'm sure this is breaking some kind of artist rule, but there's a lot of panels from behind people. So we're just seeing like the back of people's heads, their backs, and I'm sure that doesn't work all the time from a storytelling aspect. But the times that in this issue, I actually like it.
Yeah, it works here. There are times I have to admit that it felt like it was cutting some corners like that. I like that panel, but I mean, just looking at fire, I don't know, like I think how more effective that would be if that were swung 180 degrees and there's flame ringing the bottom and the sides of the panel, and you're seeing their horrified expressions lit up and colored with the flame.
Yeah,
it feels like a shortcut.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I wouldn't have thought that, but you're probably right. That might be a cut corner kind of situation like we're seeing in this issue. Good call.
Mm-hmm.
I did like Jack saying what we were all thinking, which is, you mean they're zombies, right?
Yeah.
And Marvel had a great little cheeky dig there, didn't they? About the censor. Yeah,
I did enjoy that quite a bit.
Yeah, it's really.
So as of last issue, as part of the new direction of the book, that Jack has purple shirt that goes with his green, complements his green pants.
You're right. That must be some kind of design edict that's gone down. Maybe they consulted with Ramita. Maybe not.
Yeah. Or Norman Osborn, or Bruce Banner.
Or Bruce Banner. Yeah.
It's a good color combination, isn't it? Colorists must love it. Yeah.
It pops.
Color wheels are amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next page has so much action. Like
I know, it's crazy.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah. So the first 6 panels I really liked. They're like skinny panels of the Zuvembis like crashing through every window in the place. So many windows. I guess we've seen Buck's pad from the outside, and it is ultra modern, and it's basically all windows. So this is accurate.
Beach houses tend to have a lot of glass.
That's true. So I did like how you kind of think that this might be like all one panel cut up into 6, but it's really 3. And the middle 2 of these skinny panels are actually 1, with Jack kind of stretching between both of them. And the narration is like, this time was no exception. There were plenty more of them, far more enough to go around, and they weren't what I expected. Then we get this great middle panel of them it's the gang just instantly starts fighting with them. And even Buck, who is in his wheelchair and holds both his hands together and just wallops one of these Zuvembis. Yeah, Buck is still a good fighter. I'd like to think that his cigarette is still in his mouth. As
he's cupped in his double fist. He's not putting that out.
No, he's not. He's not going to waste that. But it's such a badass middle panel. You got Buck and Jack and Raymond Coker all just instantly going to town on these Zuvembis. The bottom panel, we see Topaz getting in on the action, shooting her mind rays at them. And I did like Jack's little narration at the bottom there. He says, I felt like Elvis or the Beatles caught in a graveyard full of undyingly loyal autograph ghouls. And it's a goofy as shit sentence, but I kind of love it.
It's weird. He's gone for both. You pick one, don't you? It's either Elvis, or maybe Frank Sinatra. Maybe, It's just like, why not? It's just one of those that he's feeling like, I think.
Yeah, it's really, really funny.
Yeah, it makes me laugh.
I love the way Perlin draws these Zuvembis. They're
great.
Just fascinating to look at. And I noticed that too, Jacob, on the top there, that of the 6 panels, the middle 2 are actually 1 divided into 2, which I thought was interesting, because I was wondering, why would Perlin choose to do that? That must be a timing thing where he's doing these short bursts to make us realize how quickly this is happening. Almost like, when you do stutter, like editing in film or video, where it's like, just makes you realize how quickly things are happening, almost too fast to even take in and regulate the information.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a layout that I don't think that I've seen a whole lot, which I liked.
And I also like that the noises, the crashes and the crashes are going over the panels as well. Mm-hmm. And I know that happens a lot in comic books, but here it works really well, doesn't it? It kind of joins the sound and the visual into kind of mayhem, really.
Yeah, this is just a moment in time. That's that's nice. And I did note that Jack was reaching for his favorite ersatz weapon, a fire poker. Has he not? Is that his go-to makeshift weapon? Or is that just me?
No, it is. I mean, that's a kind of crowbar like he used in Marcosa House. So yeah, that's his new go-to, which I love.
Yeah, and I'm a huge fan of in that middle panel where they're all just going to town making hay out of the zombies. Coker's big, huge wallop of a punch, and that zombie face as it's getting punched by Coker is rad. It kind of looks like the cellar zombie in Evil Dead 2 or something like that. The mom, I guess, resurrected.
And I think it's important to point out the narration of that middle panel reminds us, Jack says, in fact, other than an appearance, talking about the Zuvembis, they bore no relation to the ploddingly slow, shuffle-footed variety tossed from the movie screens. So these aren't slow, like Brains type zombies. These are guys that are moving fast.
Yeah, they got to cut sugarcane.
Yeah,
normally.
Which to your point earlier about the top panel, yeah, there's definitely a sense of speed there with it all happening at once, because we kind of lose track of how many Zuvembis we're facing now.
Yeah,
there's just a ton of them piling through the windows.
Great page. Another one I would like to own.
Yeah,
if you guys are noting this stuff out there. So Coker gets cold cocked from behind and knocked out, and no one seems to be noticing because it's absolute mayhem. So no one sees what happens to him, but we see that he's being picked up by a bunch of Zuvembis and carried out through a broken sliding glass door. And, Jack realizes if I didn't have Topaz behind me covering my back, that could have been me. And Lissa throws a book at a Zuvembi and hits it in the head, flap. I started to realize, remember before she wore like a thing on her head, and this is she illiterate? Does she not know what we do with books? Or she just hate these books?
She hates these books.
Is that a candlestick she's about to throw after the book? She's got a variety of objects ready to throw at the zombie.
She does. She's ready.
Yeah. It's like it's a carnival game, right? She's just knocked the head off the zombie. So she screams, "Get away!" He says, "My sister is spunky enough, all right, but her bark's worse than her bite." And Jack sneaks up behind this zombie that she was throwing a book at and just clocks it with a fire poker. And without a sound of warning, I lambasted the thing from behind. And then Buck has somehow wheeled through zombie corpses in his house to a desk drawer. And I'm sure you have a gun in your desk drawer where you write as well, Tim.
Yep.
And he
that's right. Always. Yeah.
Pulls it out and unloads a few rounds and says he needn't have bothered because it has no effect on them. And then outside, Brothers Voodoo is out there being a complete badass. He is slammed one on the ground, picked another one up, and is throwing it to the ground while two more are swarming over him right outside of the beach house. And then he does this amazing high kick right in the chin of one of them. One of my favorite characters.
Yeah,
I love him.
So badass.
And that's
this page is just full of action. It's fantastic.
It's awesome.
Everything is exciting in every single panel here.
I had to laugh at that because they drew attention to Buck by saying somehow wheeling through the chaos, where they didn't need to do that, because that just brought to mind how the hell did he get around all that? I just had this image of him sort of scurrying around with his wheelchair. But no,
that's technically a body slam, Jacob.
Yep. And so we drink.
Yep.
And so we drink
in the middle of the day.
So on the next page, I like this. So Topaz and Jack are kind of cleaning up the last of the Zuvembis. And I love that one of them has got Buck and is starting to throttle him. And Topaz, puts the whammy on him with her mind powers, because she's an empathist in this issue. And then, Jack brings attention to it. He says, "And my trusty fireplace poker stopped the last one from crushing her mind after her skull." So he saves Topaz. Then Buck's like, "No, that's the last of them." And Jack's like, "Amen to that, but I wonder what happened to..." And then there's this huge wall of flame, and Brother Voodoo just walks through it. It says he stalked through the flames like a king. And Jack's
voodoo drums are playing.
Yes.
That's what's so fucking badass.
It is.
There's a wall of flame, you hear voodoo drums, and then he walks through the fire into the room.
Yeah, he is. His entrances are always so cool. Even Jack brings attention to it. He's like, "That's a doozy of an entrance you've got there." He says, and so he's like, "Oh, did we do all right with your quota of Zuvembis?" And Brother Voodoo's just like, "They were not true Zuvembis, as you can see." And he points to the floor, and they all start disintegrating into like different colored wisps of smoke. And like Jack instantly is like, Marcosa. and Buck's like, calm down. Like, it's impossible, Jack. You told me you destroyed Marcosa's remains. But besides, his influence never extended beyond the house. So I think Jack got really fucked up from Marcosa House.
He has Marcosa PTSD.
He really does. I think that fucked with all of their minds. I think they're all fairly broken from that experience.
I totally get it, though.
Yeah, and then we have in the last panel, Lissa says, Coker's gone. They got him. And yeah, we saw that on another page that they had taken Coker away.
I didn't figure out why they had this distinction between fake Zuvembis and real Zuvembis. Did you? I read this twice and I still can't work out why that's a thing.
Well, I think in the later attack that's actually on Haiti, they actually have their bodies. So they just kind of stay on the ground, right? And maybe because, whoever that we'll learn later is creating these Zuvembis, maybe because it's such a far, long distance type of enchantment but who knows?
Yeah, and these
you're filling it a bit.
I don't know why, Tim, but I got the impression as well, Jacob, that it's like the distance and that they're simulacra of Zuvembis, not actual corpses that are reanimated, so they can be generated from organic material like rock or dirt or whatever. Yeah, so they're just more kind of tools than actual zombies. But I did like that they're all different colors. That's, that's fun.
I liked that. Good job, Don Warfield.
And that also seems to indicate that those are the simulacra of Zuvembis, not actual Zuvembis. Yeah. Right? The fact that they turn into dust or whatever.
Yep.
Okay. Good. So we're all straight. Everything makes perfect sense now. So they're looking around for other Zuvembi bodies, and Brother Voodoo says, okay, we have to go to Haiti immediately. They have Raymond Coker, and the three who are all said that change would involve death, and that could be Coker's death. And there's no way of knowing until we get there, so let's expect the worst. And so Jack's out there. Can I
just stop on that line a minute?
Sure.
That is a great line. He says, there is no way of knowing, but where matters of death are concerned, it is wise to expect the worst.
I 100% agree.
Yeah, I agree. Whenever death comes up, I always think, I'm going to expect the worst now. I love that line. That made me chuckle.
So there's an odd little sequence here in the middle of the page where Jack's out looking over the beach, just making sure Coker's not passed out somewhere and not any more Zuvembis. And he looks up at the moon, which is full, and he's like, it dawned on me. I'm under moonlight. And then he has this kind of big smile on his face. The next panel is like, I hadn't become the werewolf. Was this the change the vision spoke of? Was I cured? Was I to be spared another? And then he starts sweating and growing fur. And he's like, Rawr! And he says, no such luck. Hope and elation turned into a white-hot spike driven into my gut. And he's stumbling into the house saying, get away. Stay away before I... And he's sprouting more hair. And he says, yes. Brother Voodoo says, yes, stand back while I do what I must, while I project the spirit of my dead brother Daniel and guide it forth to fill the vessel of Jack Russell's flesh. And as he's saying this, his brother's spirit rises out of him like an aura, like a astral form, and goes down inside of Jack, who is writhing in pain as he's turning. And then he starts to turn back into Jack. Says Daniel's spirit may unite with the spirit of Jack Russell, and that their combined strength may combat the spirit of the werewolf and drive it from Jack Russell's flesh. And Jack's just shocked that he's Jack again. He's sweating and touching his face and saying, how?
Yeah. I love the symmetry of those last 2/3 of the page, because you've got him changing into the werewolf in the first 3 panels, and in the last 3 panels changing out, and it balances really nicely, doesn't it? It gives a really good balance to the page, that.
Yeah, those triptychs are nice.
And not knowing Brother Voodoo, like I didn't, I was like, you're doing what now? so this really confused me. Like, where's this come from? But again, maybe they were assuming readers knew Brother Voodoo better than I did. Do you think?
I think so, yeah.
Just getting on with the story. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, he does explain it fairly well. I mean, at least, not why his dead brother Daniel's spirit is inside of him, but he's like, oh, this is what I'm doing. I'm gonna tell you what I'm doing, so you're not gonna freak out. And and yeah, obviously it works. And I love Jack's expression in that last panel, because it's sweat pouring down his face, but he also looks like so relieved, like not like he's smiling, but he's just like, oh, thank God. Like, Because this is new. It's very rare. I mean, not new. I mean, I think it's happened 1 or 2 times before, but his transformation has been has been stopped.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a big relief for him. As he says on the next page, he's like, "Oh, you stopped the change. You reversed the transformation." And Brother Voodoo says, "Your will is strong, Jack Russell. The spirit of my brother is aiding you in your struggle to repress the transformation." But I like that he says, he's like, "But this victory is primarily attributed to your own efforts." And Lissa hugs him, saying, "Oh, Jack, I'm so happy for you." And then Brother Voodoo's like, "I don't want to intrude on your moment, but we got to get the fuck out of here." And so he's like, all right, sure. We got to go help Coker. And I thought it was interesting. I mean, maybe for the best, but Topaz is like, "Lissa, you'd better stay here with Buck." And at first she's like, why do I have to? And I thought it was weird, like Jack's back to making kind of inappropriate wisecracks. He's like, "Because Buck has a crush on you, and because you're not too much of a kid to see it's the best way." And she's like, "All right, guess you're going to have to pull one of those be sensible and act like adult routines." She's like, "I'll stay behind." So yeah, but she's very disappointed she doesn't get to go on the adventure to Haiti with the grown-ups.
I'm glad that was like, it was just joking around, right?
Yeah.
Buck, 45-year-old Buck doesn't really have a crush on 18-year-old Lissa.
No. And I thought it's a bad joke. It's not like it's not a good joke. Like Jack, he can make a good wisecrack, and this one is just like a little cringe.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the next panel, we see they're all taking off. And like it shows Buck's house, and every window is broken. They're like, "So long, Jack. Good luck in Haiti." And then the last panel, Buck's like, "And God help you, son. I just hope there is a change for the better."
I think Lissa could have brought up, "Look, I've been I kicked your ass as a were-demon."
Yeah, exactly.
Come to Haiti. Yeah.
Well, I hesitate to say more, but I wonder if this was Doug kind of getting around a potential problem story-wise, not having her be in Haiti.
Yeah, it's true.
Because of stuff.
Indeed.
But I really like the way, that last panel, the way that she's depicted with kind of these severe European, like, continental European model. She was like Nico or something.
She does look like Nico.
Like super high cheekbones. And it's like Grace Jones and Nico put together. Yeah, I do love that. Them saying, "So long, Jack.
Yeah.
If you get hungry, eat something. You get sleepy, pull over." And it's just like shattered glass all behind them.
I think the unsaid thing there is that, I mean, Buck's in a wheelchair, but Lissa's got to clean all that shit up.
Yeah, that's right.
Before it pops his tires.
Yeah.
So we jump to Haiti, and there's a big sugar plantation with a big old manor, and we are following Vic Northrup, who is down there trying to find Coker. And, he's down there doing detective work, trying to find out what happened to his buddy who was killed or disappeared. And Tim, am I using this term correctly? Is this a busman's holiday? He's a detective who goes on vacation and goes detecting things when he's off work. Yeah. Okay. That's the only thing I can think of. I was like, that's the first time I've ever had to use that term. I asked Tim if I did it right.
Oh, it's
awesome.
Yeah, that's fine.
Which is what the original joke, right? Is that like you're a busman, and then you go to another city or town, like a beach town or whatever, and you just ride the buses and talk to the busman while they're what it's like working there.
It's doing your job when you're on holiday, basically.
Yeah.
I love it. So he's speaking to these heads of these plantations, and sure enough, all these workers are disappearing. Some of these CEOs and executives are even disappearing. They're not all exclusively African-American, Haitian people like locals that are disappearing. Some of them are white folks. But he says the overwhelming majority are black, but that's just because most people there are. And so...
And you think that was slightly clunky, that? He says, it's not just blacks. Actually, it is mostly blacks. It just felt funny to me that his dialogue there, he kind of backtracks a little bit.
I think he's almost saying that because he knows that Northrup is such an asshole that he's not going to care. But then he's like, "Oh, but white executives have also disappeared." And Northrup's like, "Oh, hold on. Okay, I'm going to take this seriously now."
Yeah. So Northrup picks up something from this. It's implied that he's talked to several other plantation owners, and this is a repeated series of events. So he's got all of his answers he needs. He says, "I think I finally pinpointed where the mystery is coming from." He says, "I'll catch you later, pal, if the Zuvembis don't beat me to it." So leaves the plantation owner to just hopefully not get killed by zombies. And there's a nice row of wordless panels here at the bottom of the page. Northrop is stalking out of the mansion. He flicks his cigarette butt towards us, the viewer, which lands on the ground because he's an asshole. He gets into his car, immediately pulls out another cigarette because you can't not chain smoke if you're Northrop. Then he pulls a Haiti map out of his glove box, and he has all these X's around the middle of the country. These are plantations he's visited. And then in the center, it says Devil's Grotto, and he circles that emphatically with a pencil because, yep, this is where it's all leading. I would start in Devil's Grotto. Maybe I'm just it's not too much.
It seems to be only one of two places on the map, doesn't it? One or two or three places on the map.
Yeah, there's Legoland and St. Marco.
I saw that as Legoland as well. Yeah. Yeah,
such a cool series of panels. I mean, we always love the wordless panels, especially when Perlin draws them, because you just see his storytelling and you see how much he can convey without any of Doug's words on there. So yeah, I love it, and I love him chain smoking. That makes me really happy.
He also does a really good job of drawing in that middle panel of drawing Northrop to have kind of this weaselish, ferretish kind of. He looks like a manga
he does.
Creep.
No, it's really good. I like the palm trees and the volcano in the background in the bottom panels, and just the touches that make this place really come to life. I think it's really nicely placed. And is it me? But there's a lot of kind of angles, like you said. It's quite cinematic, isn't it? That is really striking. The first panel at the bottom left. Mm-hmm. With the cigarette butt on the sidewalk.
That's very cool.
So you're really down low, and yet we're also up high in the car. You know, there's lots of times where, and we as you said earlier, when we came into the story, we're behind people. It feels like the camera's roving a lot more in this issue than previous issues, for me anyway, where I became more aware of it.
Yeah, I noticed it as well, and I think Perlin is really good at this. We've noticed it, Jacob, the last, 10 or so issues, where Perlin is a master of picking these camera positions, essentially, and laying this stuff out in a way that feels completely fluid and picks up what we have as readers get from cinema without trying to ape cinema.
Yeah, so cool. And we jump right from Northrop circling Devil's Grotto on the next page to Brother Voodoo looking at the map, pointing to Devil's Grotto, and Jack being like, Devil's Grotto, you got to be kidding. And he's like, no, Jack Russell, I'm entirely serious, as were the three who are all when they told me that destiny would await me and you in Devil's Grotto. And Jack's not letting it go. He's like, but the name is too perfect, too contrived. But, Brother Voodoo brings out, he's like, well, perhaps deliberately so. I mean, who can say? He says, indeed, the grim irony of the grotto's name may also prove to be ominous. This badass panel of the plane flying. And then he's like, Jack's like, oh, thanks for the reassurance. If I don't already feel weird enough with the spirit of your dead brother crawling around somewhere inside me. Jack is still, he's still getting a little annoyed. Brother Voodoo almost seems like he's getting pissed off. He's like, speaking of which, and then lets him know, be advised, I may have to withdraw Daniel's spirit from you depending on what awaits us. And if this is the case, then you have to suppress the transformation on your own.
Dude, you got to feel for Jack now, right? Because he's on the PTSD from Marcosa's house still. He's still reaming from that. Now he's somehow in a plane to Haiti with some guy's dead brother in his soul.
Yeah, so crawling around.
He's got a lot to deal with.
Yeah, it's funny. So he's like, yeah, thanks for the warning, especially since it's just occurred to me that it'll still be night when we reach Haiti, and the werewolf will still be trying to break out of my skin. And there's this great panel at the end that just Brother Voodoo saying true. And just looking out the window and just kind of contemplating all the heavy shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is a high crime of art here. In the bottom left here, where Jack is saying it's still going to be nighttime when we get to Haiti, his torso makes no sense. That's a Rob Liefeld Captain America tit thing.
Oh, yeah, it's close to that for sure. I see what you mean.
His back and it doesn't make any sense. He's 3 feet thick. And his head's tiny.
Yeah, it's gone wrong a bit there, isn't it?
Fair enough.
Yeah. But I do like that Brother Voodoo panel. That should be like a meme, like reaction meme or something like that of just Brother Voodoo wistfully looking at the plane saying, "True."
Yeah.
I might have to add that to my phone. As we're turning pages here, there is a Mighty Marvel checklist.
Okay.
Jacob, and we were talking last issue about maybe some of the ones that get spotlighted might be ones that editorial is pushing. Again, the issue 39 of Werewolf by Night got spotlighted in a thumbnail.
Oh, all right. So they're really still trying to push it.
Still pushing it.
You mentioned Twinkies in a few issues, and I used to, after I got the black and white British comics, I got hooked a bit and I started importing them. And I would see these Twinkies ads, and I so wanted a Twinkie. And I still, to this day, have never had a Twinkie, but those ads made them look so great. Are they good confection, or are they terrible?
They're terrible.
Yeah, they're terrible.
Are they?
In a way that's kind of endearing.
Oh,
Right.
When you're a kid, they're the most amazing thing ever. You want them all
I
the
so
time.
wanted one. You couldn't get them in the UK, so I always thought they were this exotic, amazing confectionery that only the best people got.
I forget sometimes that they're supposed to be sponge cake because they're so dense and chemically moist that they kind of like become a black hole. Like
Right.
gravity can't escape them. Like they're weird. And someone at my rival high school took one out of a package, climbed up in the gym above the basketball courts, and put one in the rafters in the 70s. And kids would go and check on it every few years. And aside from dust, they did not.
It's the same. Yeah.
Still the same. You still poke it and it gives. And yeah.
Yeah, in a later
Right,
Simpsons episode, Homer actually kept one in a safe. And he said that he was waiting because he heard after like 10 or 20 years that the inside filling turns into liquor. So he wanted to make sure that was.
Can you still get them? Can you still get Twinkies in the States?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, they did close. Hostess closed, but then I think some CEO of something bought it and resurrected it. Somebody who just for shits and giggles was like, I don't want Hostess to go away, and
That's
bought
true.
it and reopened the plant or something like that.
I forgot about that.
Those Marvel ads made them look so great, though. To a kid,
Yeah.
they were just
Oh, yeah.
so.
Well, all the superheroes want them and need them
Yeah.
to fulfill their duties. Saving people. They need Hostess cupcakes.
See, I'm that way, Tim, with whatever was advertised on the Peanuts specials. There was some brand of desserts that I never got to try, and I always wanted to. What is that? Dolly Madison? Something Madison? Or
Okay.
you know what I'm talking about, right, Jacob?
I think so. So because
they
we're
were
on West
animated-
Coast, I think it's a East Coast thing, right?
Yeah. But they were animated in the Peanuts ads. Like the characters were in it, and it was just like part of the actual program. It wasn't like cutting
Yes.
away to an ad.
Right. Okay. Product
Little Debbie?
placement.
No. I think anyway, I've always wanted to know what they are. Never had one. But that's like Jacob saying, I think it's an East Coast, West Coast thing.
Yeah.
This
Sorry.
war's tearing us apart.
Yeah, exactly.
So I want to read this copy real fast from this checklist. Jack Russell's alter ego teams up with Brother Voodoo, the man who dies yet lives again, when Wolfie's weirdest foe returns to plague his furry life once more.
Oh, so some foreshadowing there in the teaser.
Mm-hmm. So 2 hours later, they touch down in this little airstrip carved out of the jungle. And they've been piloted by, is Bamboo like Brother Voodoo's like butlery buddy?
Yeah, it's like his Alfred.
Yeah, because he refers to him as master, but then there's a note, strange relationship these two had. One insisting he wasn't anyone's master and the other obeying him without question. So he just kind of, he's such a strong leader that people just want to help out, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love this long horizontal panel here where Brother Voodoo, Topaz, and Jack, and it looks like Topaz is holding hands because it's kind of spooky jungle times. They're walking through the jungle and they're silhouetted by the moon. Or not silhouetted, but they're surrounded by the moon, and there's bats over their head, and in the foreground there's roots and all this jungle foliage, and it's just a great panel that I really like.
Yeah,
and we're also noting that it's a full moon, so Daniel is in there helping Jack control the beast, and in the distance they see a glowing red light, and they realize that must be Devil's Grotto, and Jack's like, well, what else would it be? He's a little sassy. This issue.
He's full of sass.
He says, sarcasm's always been my strong point, but I never thought it was annoying enough to deserve physical attack. And at this moment, a bunch of Zuvembis just charge out of the darkness of the jungle and wrap up all of them, the three of them, and start fighting. and there's no warning, and it says they were sticking like glue with arms.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's kind of a
little bit clunky.
First draft.
Yeah, I groaned.
Yeah.
No,
Again, they're rushing a little here, aren't they? Because they've just got off the plane, wandering through, and then the Zuvembis are on them again. So, but yeah, it makes the story crack on, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the story moves at a real clip at this point. Yeah, Matt, I agree with you about that middle panel. It made me laugh. Like all three of them are holding hands, like they're going to see the Wizard of Oz or something.
I was just gonna say it reminded me of Wizard of Oz as well.
It's so funny.
That's a nice.
How'd you like it if I picked your apples?
Yeah. And yeah, that last panel there with all of them fighting immediately with these crazy zombies that just come out of nowhere. I dig it. I dig that page a lot.
And if people at home are doing the Topaz fashion follow along, she is wearing a spiffy purple jumpsuit with leather calf high boots.
Yeah, it's an awesome outfit. Kind of reminded me of like something Sally McMillan would wear in like McMillan and Wife. And the action continues on the next page. Like one of the Zuvembis is about to crush Topaz with this boulder. And Brother Voodoo says, he sees this, he says, "Prepare yourself, Jack Russell. Daniel's spirit is needed elsewhere." And so he transfers his brother's spirit from Jack to the Zuvembi to prevent it from killing Topaz. And so it works, but then Jack quickly transforms into the werewolf. Brother Voodoo's like, "Fight the change, strengthen your will, fight it, Jack Russell." And it says, there was no way I could fight the change. I was too busy fighting other things and doing a good job of it too. Which
I don't understand why he wants to stop him, because turning into the werewolf is a good move, right? At this point, they're in the middle of a fight with basically zombies. Why not just let it change?
Yeah, it's helpful for the next 30 seconds. The problem is they don't know what will happen after the zombies are dead.
Right. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. He's thinking ahead. Yeah,
yes. Jericho Drum is always going to think a few moves ahead.
I really love that, as Daniel is being extracted from Jack's vessel, Jack's just, kicking ass mid-punch, and then he just turns into the beast without even any fuss. There's no, whatever. It's just like mid-stroke. It's almost like Jack is doing what the beast does best, so there's very little fight that can happen. He's distracted, and he's being physical, so it just kind of pops out.
Yeah.
And he is using those claws on the Zuvembi,
yeah.
Shrek'd, as just Gru comes flying off of the thing's face that he's straddling. And I don't know why I really liked that zombie with the boulder that was going to crush Topaz's head. Like the way he's drawn when he's just like frozen. Once Daniel goes into him, it's so cool looking with the red background and the yellow aura of possession.
Yeah, Warfield does a great job with the colors on that panel.
I thought his colors in this issue were really good, pretty much all around.
Yeah, I think out of the three that we've had him, I say this is the best one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. On the next page, we get a great panel to start off with. As I was saying, the Beast did a good job, a hideously good job. The Beast has grabbed with his claws the heads of two zombies and is very clearly about to smash them together and just crush their skulls. While in the background of that, Brother Voodoo has grabbed the tattered lapels of a Zuvembi and is just throwing it like firewood across the jungle. And it says, between the two of them, these zombies didn't even really stand a chance. That fight just continues. They're just kicking the shit out of these things. That one zombie is still frozen by Daniel. Instead of setting the rock down, Daniel's just frozen this guy holding a boulder over his head. And Topaz has snapped to and said, Jack's changed. And Brother Voodoo says, "Move away, Topaz, so I can transfer Daniel's spirit from the Zuvembi to Jack Russell to fight the change." And then there's a pause there. And then Topaz says, "Well, no, Brother Voodoo. Jack has changed, but he's in control. I can sense that he won't try to harm us." And the Beast is just looking over their shoulders at the Beast, and he's just kind of mouth breathing, just looking like like not attacking.
That's perfect. That's a perfect sound for what's going on there.
It says, "In bewilderment, I realized she was right. I was in control in some sort of vague, semi-conscious manner. Not truly Jack, but not really the werewolf either. To demonstrate her point, Topaz stepped forward, gently touching my face. And she reaches out and strokes his face and says, perhaps we should let him remain this way so he can try to master the Beast." And Brother Voodoo, being smart, says, "I agree, Topaz." And then
Jack doesn't get a say in that, does he? He's just, imagine him saying, no.
And then he pulls his brother Daniel out of the zombie and says, in control of the werewolf's flesh, he will be more effective during the mission. And he brings his brother back into himself. And as soon as he does so, the Zuvembi comes back to life and completing the motion it was doing, which was trying to smash Topaz's head in, holding the boulder, charging forward with this cool red crackle of like energy, or maybe that's like shadow and light. I'm not sure, from Devil's Grotto, but it's a cool effect. And Brother Voodoo shoots down a big wall of fire in front of it, putting a permanent cramp in his style.
That's a funny part of the narration at the bottom there.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a cool page. And maybe this is more evidence of the new direction that this title is taking, because, I mean, from that middle panel in the middle row, it seems that Jack has changed. He is the beast, but he's in control.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if they were going for a Hulk thing, where, I mean, the Hulk doesn't necessarily lash out at everything and anything when he changes. He responds to antagonism. He tends to be heroic in his choices. He sticks up for the little people, the people that are being abused. I wonder if they were just kind of saying, can we make him a hero without a domino mask and a cape?
Yeah.
Mm.
No, that's cool. Yeah, it's a really
makes sense.
Page. Mm. Yeah, on the next page, this is where Brother Voodoo looks at the bodies of these Zuvembis, and he's like, these are not like the others. These are true Zuvembis. And as the narration says, Jack, I tried to speak, but only growled. So Topaz put the question for me. And Topaz is like, well, who's controlling them? And Brother Voodoo says it's a Hungan who has both the abilities to control true Zuvembis and to create simulacra of Zuvembis, a Hungan with powers greater than any I have ever faced. And we have little notes from Marv saying that a Hungan is a voodoo priest, and that simulacra is a Ursat's duplicate. And I like that he says Webster.
Webster, yeah.
That's a postmodern term, isn't it? That's like a Jacques Derrida type term, simulacra, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's how I
it?
say it, simulacra.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's quite a strange word to appear in this issue, I think. But it is. It's cool that they had.
I'd like to think that Doug is a big reader of Philip K. Dick, and Philip K. Dick uses that word a lot. So
does he?
So yeah, then we go to the next panel. I wanted to double check with you, Matt, on the coloring, because it shows all three of our characters, and the beast is basically, colored brown in his fur, but just around his mouth is almost like flesh toned.
Yeah,
it's weird.
It's such a weird. It's the worst coloring choice of a really great colored issue.
Yeah, his mouth around his muzzle is the same color as Topaz's face.
Yeah,
which is supposed to be reading the light bouncing out of Devil's Grotto, but it just doesn't track. It should have been redder, not pink.
Yeah, and it almost
makes him look like he's got a Clark Gable mustache, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say Clark Gable or Cesar Romero mustache.
Errol Flynn.
Yeah. So it's really good. And so, yeah, in that panel that they're all looking really shocked. Topaz is like, what is it? Brother Voodoo's like, there is but one way to learn, Topaz. We must face it. And it shows another panel of them looking down on this chasm. And Topaz is like, it's obscene. Says we move toward the lip of the precipice, the edge of a jaggedly circular chasm. And then we see what is Devil's Grotto, which is Jericho Drum says the grotto. It can only be Devil's Grotto. So many cool colors on this. So it's basically just this. The narration says it was a turmoil of semi-liquid, semi-gaseous red stuff, a rolling miasma in which vague images of slimy monstrosities wallowed and tangled. It says swirling, weaving, and waiting. And so it almost looks like a lizard or dragon type melting entities that are just kind of in this pink froth. It's really, really incredible.
Yeah.
I was obsessed with this panel and would stare at this daydreaming and just imagining what these things are from and what they do for just like hours.
Oh, yeah.
Like Lovecraftian, just weird, nightmarish centipedes and dragons. And it looks like they're just in lava.
Oh, it's so cool.
Great. Yeah. And I love that this page has so many cool words. We've talked about before how, you can learn a lot about language from comic books, but you've got Hungan, Simulacra, Phantasmagoria, Miasma. There's loads of great words on this page.
Yeah.
I mean, there's possibly too many words, as you've covered before, but I love that. Had me reaching for my dictionary as a kid, for sure.
I think this is where 11-year-old me learned Phantasmagoria.
Yeah, it's great.
So yeah, exciting stuff.
Mm.
Tim, you'll be happy to know that Red Skull was going to get the Cosmic Cube, but Captain America brought some Twinkies in and managed to do the old switcheroo. So reality was safe.
I'm salivating.
Yeah.
So the next page explains that there is a cavern just below the precipice where they were standing down and looking into this horrifying, bizarre, otherworldly scene. So they drop down and climb into the cave as they hear a sound like the moaning of the tortured and the damned coming from inside of the cave. So they enter, they're following the sounds as it grows in volume. And it says, then I realized, even if I couldn't speak as the human Jack Russell, at least I could think and feel the human emotions of pity and shock. So getting a little more information about how the beast operates in this new kind of form. And we hear, no, please, not again, I beg you. And there's a bright light from around a cave corner as they're approaching, creeping up to see what's going on. And there is quite a scene once they enter that big chamber. It's Raymond Coker, and he is in agony. And he's hanging from these red energy, like crackling electricity cables from the roof of the ceiling, facing down. And he is turned into his werewolf form, his blue furred form. Or it's probably black fur, I would imagine, probably in reality, but that's how they're coloring it. Mm-hmm. And he's moaning in pain. No, I was cured. You can't do this to me again, please. And Topaz says, we've got to free him. Brother Voodoo, help him. And he says, we must try, Topaz. And so he's still begging, help me, please. And then Brother Voodoo stops and says, wait a minute. He's being used as bait for a trap. And then as soon as he says that, out of the rock walls of the cave, these zombie-esque forms, which are these, again, the ersatz duplicates. They're not really, they have no souls. They're not bodies. They're formed from organic matter. But they start morphing out of the walls, and they're ugly Zuvimbis. And they step out of the rock, and now we have this to deal with. And one's wearing clothes for some reason, like a tank top.
Yeah, one's wearing a halter.
It looks like it.
Yeah. No, I love
it's just the light, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. I love them coming out of the rock like that, and Coker being held by these, bizarre, like flame red tendrils. And he just seems like he's in utter agony, which is,
got his sunglasses on, or his spectacles on.
Yeah,
they're his glasses, but the way they're colored, it looks like he's wearing shades. He looks like Poochie or something. He's very he looks cool like, werewolf.
Yeah, he looks like Poochie. In the next page, his glasses kind of look like Max Headroom glasses or something. Yeah, this is a really, really cool page. And I like that. Well, we'll just go on to the next one. The rock Zuvembis kind of advance on the group while this voice from above says, "We meet again, my bestial enemy." And Jack's narration says, but it couldn't be. It was impossible. Or before that voice, like fingernails scraping slate, so familiar. And then we get a panel of all three of them looking really shocked. And Topaz like, it's him, Jack. But how? He's dead. You killed him. Then we get to the next panel, and it says, but a little thing like death hadn't stopped the amazing Dr. Glitter Knight.
I want that appellation. I want like that. Why can't I have amazing in front of my name?
I'm going to call you that from now on. It'll make you feel better.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, it's such a okay. So I'm just going to have to come out and say I did not expect this. I did not expect that in the new direction that this book is taking, that they would go back to the lamest of villains. So I was a little disappointed. I really enjoyed this issue, but I was like, fuck, Dr. Glitter Knight.
In his flying squirrel costume, yeah.
Yep, he is. He's just hovering like a box kite right above there. And he's the one that has the red tendrils that are holding Coker, shooting out of his chest. And Coker is still just like pleading and just begging him to stop. It's tearing me apart. Please. At the bottom says the fake Zuvembis formed of rock and animated by the terrible light from Glitter Knight closed the circle around us, their hands groping for our flesh. High above, the black-clad sorcerer hovered, binding Coker's pain to his black soul as he smirked. And so then we get a teaser for the next issue that says, next, the story's so stunningly shocking, you wouldn't believe us if we told you about it. So just be here for the ultimate turning point called souls in darkness. And again,
just a little bit hyperbole there, isn't it?
Well, that's pure Stan Lee. Yeah, it's almost like I really think you're right, Matt, that they were trying to go back to that kind of bombastic way of promoting this book, like, just like, Stan the Man used to do.
Yeah. And every time Glitter Knight appears, I drink.
Yeah, I'm finishing my shot. And
they got some explaining to do, haven't they? Because he died. So we need to understand how that happened next issue. I haven't read it yet.
But that was one of the most indefinite kind of banal comic book deaths, hurtling towards the ocean. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty lame.
That's like Darth Vader
I was
flying off
in
in a speeder or whatever. His fighter, off into space, out of control. We'll never see him again.
Yep.
So that was the new trending concept and chilling excitement they promised us. It turns out to be an old baddie. I agree. It was slightly disappointing that it was Glitter Knight, but I wonder if my take on that was that they're rebuilding this character in this book, and they want to position a baddie, don't they? They want to position his nemesis, and Glitter Knight so far, I guess, is the guy, he's the
guy.
Well, who's standing? Hangman and Glitter Knight.
Yeah.
So unless you want to start from scratch, you have to bring one of those two back, and Glitter Knight's clearly the only one that has the CV for being a big baddie.
Yeah.
True.
I mean, Hangman's just a pervert.
Yeah. He's a sex.
You just have to have a sting going in a peep show, and you'll catch him the first day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you can just lift his scythe or whatever it is, then you can arrest him. We've seen, so he's easily beaten. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's do a letter, a Wintermail by Night, and then we'll do final thoughts.
Cool. Sounds good.
Okay. So since Marcosa came up a bit, I'm going to read this one. So this is feedback coming in from, I think, the first 2 issues of the Marcosa saga. Dear Doug and Dawn, it seems that despair is the keynote of issue number 35. This is not a pretty story. Though no grotesqueries were actually physically depicted, this issue is profoundly and psychologically disturbing. But perhaps if I hadn't been reading this mag since it began, I wouldn't be so distressed at the terror and trauma visited upon the characters I've come to know so well. Credit must go to Doug Munch for weaving an incredibly suspenseful tale. Another reason for the brilliance of Werewolf by Night is Don Perlin, who has now developed an art style unequaled by anyone. Please don't let anyone ink Don but Don himself, or this very special effect will be destroyed. Even the paragothic lettering style of novice Deborah James perfectly suits this strip. And all in all, Werewolf by Night is unquestionably one of Marvel's best books. Brian Nelson from Rockville, Maryland. So, yeah.
Mm. Now, people are understanding, Don's strength is in inking his own work. And I like the call out for Deborah James. It's pretty nice.
I agree, yeah. I thought that was a good one. So that is a topic right now in the letters page is Marcosa stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So final thoughts.
Oh, I thought it was a great issue, if I might jump in, because so much going on, so many great zombie, if we can call them zombies, can we? Because I find it easy to say.
We can't, I'm sorry. That never got picked up. No, still Zuvembi.
Great Zuvembi fights. And Brother Voodoo, fantastic. I'm so glad that I feel a bit ashamed to say that was my introduction to Brothers of Voodoo. So, and what a great introduction that was. Mm-hmm. So there were a few flaws. It did feel a bit rushed, but I think overall great issue, packed full of action, and as you said, great coloring, some really good visual stuff too.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I dug this issue a lot. I love the change of scenery. Having Brother Voodoo as basically the main character in this issue was really awesome. Still shocked. I mean, I understand. After you said that, Matt, that basically because this is Werewolf by Night, every single villain has died except, the Hangman and Dr. Glitter Knight. So if they're going to bring back someone, they have to do that, even though I am still pretty disappointed in that. Thought we were done with him, but I'm anxious to see what's in store for everyone. So, good issue.
Yeah.
Yes. So sentimentality aside, I think I agree with you guys. For the most part, it was action-packed, great breakneck pace, great art, great monsters. Technical work was all great. I agree with Tim. It felt a little rushed and kind of just broken as far as like the plotting and those kind of things to get to a spot, I guess, where they wanted to be at the end of the issue. I I could have taken that. Could have been 2 issues, in my opinion. But I know back then that would have been an outrage. People saying I spent 25 cents and they're just standing around talking in the jungle.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the ending was not a welcome surprise. But again, I hadn't read it in like 20 years, but think how fun that was for me at like 11 or 12. Like,
oh yeah,
wait, that guy was a werewolf? And he's turning him back into a werewolf? What? And he's got blue fur?
Yeah.
What's a glitter knight?
Fantastic.
Why is he amazing? What the hell's going on?
Yeah, I really like imagining how it blew your little mind apart.
Yeah, it did.
Me too, yeah.
Yeah, so not a great reveal at the end, and the pacing was a little off as far as scripting wise. So not a great issue, but a fun one to read and a great one to look at.
Yeah, and I'm intrigued now because they obviously reached that crisis where they thought they were going to close it, and then there was a lot of kind of retconning or some kind of rebirth, wasn't there? And there was a push in the narrative towards his wanting to kill himself. Was that the idea in the last issue? And then not, yeah. And then so there's quite a lot going on with his arc here, isn't there? Which is kind of confused but interesting. And with the historical perspective, we now know he's not going to make it. Was it 4 more issues?
Yeah.
So I'm really intrigued because I haven't gone anywhere. I'm going with you guys, so I haven't yet read the next issue. I'm really intrigued how does it get wrapped up, or how they're gonna where it goes. But they're obviously trying really hard in this issue to get everyone excited because there's loads going on.
Yeah, you're right, and I think we talked about this a bit last episode, but it's a shame that this didn't take because we were really digging what started last issue. So yeah. I would have taken a couple of years of this on a bi-monthly schedule if it had maintained that quality of last issue's writing and art.
I think that might be the best issue yet. Last issue, the one you discussed last episode with in the cabin in the that was fantastic. Great story. Yeah, loved you brought up the David Lynchian moments of the We Three Who Are All One, and it was fantastic. It was so cool. So yeah, that was one of my favorite issues so far.
Yes, and I think at the end of the show, Jacob and I will be wrapping up some stuff with like favorite issues, favorite characters, this, that, and the other. We will be sharing those with the audience here probably next episode and give them a chance to send in their stuff if they want to kind of vote or chime in with what their favorite stuff was. And we'll be doing those at the end. So, Tim, I see that Marvel Masterworks you got of Brother Voodoo just came out in June. Mm. So, folks, if you want to read the first appearances of Brother Voodoo, he's a great character. And this is 344 pages in a hardcover for like $55, which is kind of the, I think, typical price, right, Jacob, for a Marvel Masterwork?
Definitely. I'm glad. Yeah, I saw in the preview listings, earlier this year that was coming out. I think you and I mentioned it. And it's good. So because a lot of times if these Marvel Masterworks have been out of print for a long time, speculators can charge a pretty penny for it. But now that it just came out, you can get a real nice copy for the actual cover price. So, yeah, highly recommend it.
And it hasn't censored Strange Tales 169 in there. That's in there.
Nope.
So
yep,
it's got through the censor. And I also noticed, by the way, it's £13, whatever that is in dollars, as a Kindle or Comixology edition. So if you want to say,
$16.98.
Yeah, not bad. It's pretty good for a collected edition.
And actually, since this is a bit oversized, because normally Masterworks are 10 issues, I believe, this one's a little bit bigger. So it's actually has a list price of $75. And if you want to get Bezos shot into space again, you can buy it for $56 from him.
Yeah.
And someone will urinate into a Gatorade bottle while delivering it to you in one day.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Tim, thanks for joining us this week. We appreciate having you on.
Oh, I really enjoyed it. Thanks for inviting me. And I always love this podcast, so I'm going to be really sad when it's over. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys are doing next. So thanks for inviting me on, and it was a real pleasure. Thank you.
And you mentioned that you have a Kindle exclusive with your books currently, but that's going to be changing. Where can people just find more information about you online if they want to stalk you a bit online, stan you? Yes. The best place to get me to find out about my books is tmtucker.com. tmtucker.com. So that's my website, and you can get links to my books. You can download a free book, the free prequel,
subscribe to my newsletter and so on. So that's the best place to find me.
Wonderful. And that will be included in the show notes as well.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, Jacob will be back next week with Amy Carroll, right?
That's right. So, yeah, we'll have Amy on and talk about Dr. Glitter Knight.
Yeah, she'll be okay.
Yeah, she'll be okay with it.
Amy's an old friend of mine, and yeah, she'll be fine. She's a tough gal.
Yeah, and she's had lots of nice things to say about the show, so I'm really excited to have her on.
Yeah, me too. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening this week. Till we meet again beneath the full moon, furry ones, here's how on at ya.